Hello, everybody. Chico saying happy Friday, everybody. We're here live today because it's too cold to go outside, right? It's too cold. No, you gotta do your job first. You gotta do your job first. Oh, you gotta say, everybody have a good weekend, huh? Hit the like button and be safe, huh? So, anyways, Chico's got to earn his paycheck. You got to say something. I hope everybody is staying warm out there. Is that at least the wind? The wind's not blowing, so that's a good thing. And it's sunny out. It's just very, very cold. Yeah, Lucy, yep, it is cold. Not going nowhere today, so I might as well go on and do a lot of shows today. What, you got to work late tonight, Lucy? Yeah, and she can't get on the phone until she gets her new plug. It won't be till I'm hoping she'll be able to get on today, later on when the mail comes, but she said Saturday. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's Auntie. What happened to your morning show this morning, Auntie? It's too cold to go outside today. It's sunny and calm. So we're going to do a lot of Intel today, all day Intel today. Nothing to do. The games will be on at night, but nothing up. Chico! He's whining that someone's in the hallway or something. So we got some big topics we're going to share first. Then we're going to do a lot of short clips. We'll do the long ones tonight. We'll do the short ones now. Chico, come here. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Between $3 million. LifeLock. Join today. People diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. That's why we've offered a free book about mesothelioma. So we'll do the Benny video. Oh, wait. Let's. Ooh. I just found a video about that nurse when I was over at my sister's house the other day. That she was talking about that nurse getting in trouble. I got a clip here, 43 seconds. Lincoln, Virginia. Chico. Not this time, Chico. So we'll play that short clip, and then we'll do the update from the government shutdown. Schumer saying he might have a deal. And then Benny Johnson. Chico. The cleaning lady's in the hallway right now. You'll see her next time. So, but Benny has one saying about Don Lemon and the rest, And then I guess Tulsi Gabbard's coming on in about 10 minutes about Obama. Stop. Oh, you're a baby. You're a baby. You a baby? You're not a baby. Come up here. Come on. The baby's whining, Annie. There's the cleaning lady. All right, we'll get this going here before Chico has a panic attack. Oh, hold on. Where is it? Everyone's still here. Sorry about all the wait there. I had to call my manager to get the Wi-Fi password because we got free Wi-Fi now, and I had to get it reset. So thank you for waiting, and we'll wait a few minutes. We'll get everybody waiting here. Get back on. Trying to get the TV back on. Yeah, hey Kim, I just got back on. I had people been waiting an hour. So my place where we got free Wi-Fi, and I had to call the front desk manager, and she gave me the new password because we got free Wi-Fi, and I was just about to go on to do the show, and I had to reset everything. Yeah, I know that, George. I got a lot of. We got cold weather today, so I'm just staying in. doing intel all afternoon and stuff. So there's a lot going on. Yep, I got a lot of stuff to cover. I got Benny Johnson, latest thing on Don Lemon, and then Tulsi Gabbard was supposed to be speaking at 11 o'clock. Oh, I can't wait to play this one about Don Lemon. There's a new guy that's good too on YouTube. I don't know if that's the guy you're talking about. Ladies and gentlemen. Let's see here. But he does good intel. Play his video on. But we're going to get to the important videos first, and then we'll get everybody in here. But I was shut down for an hour. I got that password I had to reset. But once again, thanks everybody for waiting. Mark. Welcome. Richard. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of intel. A lot of new names in here, Kim. Hopefully Kay will be in. I gave her the thing, but I just text Carol. Kim, what state were you in? I couldn't remember. Very, I had internet issues. I had to go, or I had to call the manager and get the new password. So we haven't started yet. Oh, my brother lives in Indiana or Connorsville. I don't talk to him anymore. Well, I never had. Oh wow. Well, they won the football team, won the perfect season. I was happy for that. They deserved it. Michigan had a perfect season a few other years. Yeah, I'm just waiting a few minutes. Let's get everybody in here that was waiting. Yeah, Trisha has some good videos. She has about 3 good videos, Trisha. Yeah, that was a good story. They had a heck of a year. They deserved it. Terry, my password, I had to call up and get the new password here because we got free Wi-Fi and got my settings all messed up. So we're going to have another long day of intel. starting right on top of the hour, 12 noon. We're going to be starting. So we are going to get started. See if I can get my TV on yet. No. Come on. I got to fix my TV now. I don't know. It must have been her husband, or maybe she got sick or something. I wish someone can find Diane B. I wish would come back, and sometimes she might be able to give information. But I tried reaching her. So we'll go ahead and get started. Top of the hour, guys. A lot of intel today. About 7 minutes. Yep. I wish you'd come back.
Are changing at a pace as they often do around Capitol Hill when it comes to budget issues. What seems to have happened is that there was an agreement between Charles Schumer, the minority leader of the U.S. Senate, and members of the Trump administration to at least work out a plan that would ask the Senate to divide the full bill that they were voting on, the so-called minibus from the House of Representatives, to break it apart between 5 departments funding bills that then would go through the Senate and agree with the House in moving those forward to prevent shutdowns for those kind of agencies, but at the same time carve out the Department of Homeland Security in order to respond to some of the concerns of some Senate Democrats, but also some Senate Republicans too, about the activities of ICE in Minneapolis.
Yeah, and we've been sharing this post here from President Trump. This is the latest we've heard from him on this as he shared this to Truth Social, saying he's really trying to work to avoid this. But, you know, a big talking point here, Democrats say they want curbs on ICE as part of this deal. So what kind of restrictions are realistically on the table here?
Well, there's a question, of course, of what the table is. If what the president and Minority Leader Schumer agreed to, what it would mean is that there would be an agreement in the Senate today that would have to go back to the House, at least on Monday, saying that the Senate would accept funding of all of the remaining 5 department appropriations bills through September. If that happens, then there is a 2-week carve out for additional negotiations to occur on what happens with the Department of Homeland Security. As I understand it really quickly, what the Democrats are asking for are clear, explicit guarantees written into the appropriation bills as riders, if you will, saying that ICE and Custom and Border Patrol need to follow existing protocols for stopping immigrants, for detaining immigrants, and putting them through a due process system. They also are asking that there be clear guarantees that of working and greater coordination between the federal agency at the one level and state and local officials at the other levels in terms of information and evidence of cooperation. So those are the kinds of things that will be negotiated on. What I think Mr. Trump is trying to do is get some breathing time for the various parties to sit down and talk in more serious negotiations, which have been going on behind the scenes, but it just wasn't going to end by midnight tonight.
Right. And going off of my last question there, Democrats are threatening to block the broader spending bill, but really how much leverage do they actually have right now? And if this standoff continues, who's going to be the first to blink first, so to speak?
Well, this is difficult. One would imagine under the circumstances that this is going to be an issue that will be ultimately with a Republican president and Republican control of both the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate. One would imagine this would be resolved in the Republicans' favor. However, there are at least some Democrats who want to see what they can do to disrupt the entire funding package in the Senate. And senators have various kinds of privileges as individual senators, much as Lindsey Graham prevented a vote last night because he has raised another kind of an issue that it once rolled into other bills. And so that's what we can't tell is going to happen today. But on the whole, I think you're right. Ultimately, the Republicans will dominate. It's a question of how long it will take and under what conditions that will take place.
And, Dr. Holt, we heard from Senate Majority Leader John Thune just last night saying there were snags on both sides. Yes. What does that tell us about divisions within each party here right now?
I think a couple of things. I think it tells us that there are indeed divisions among but they would classify them as among more conservative and the Senate, more conservative Republicans. On the Democratic side, Democrats that want to see a bit more guarantees of concrete information and agreement to limit what it is that DHS is doing in Minneapolis and elsewhere around the country. It also, I think, underscores the fact that the Senate is, as everybody in all the listening audience knows, is a very different body than the U.S. House of Representatives. So they also are subject to any particular senator raising a point of order, putting temporary holds, or asking for multiple votes going forward. So that's always going to be a glitch. At the same time, this really raises the pressure on the House side. House Speaker Johnson, with a very narrow majority in the House, is also facing resistance from some House Republicans in particular, as well as House Democrats who are trying to block things going forward. So there are lots of details that have to be worked out among the negotiating parties.
And we've been talking short term here, really what to watch the next 24 hours on Capitol Hill, but long term, over the coming weeks, really, what can people expect to see? What do you think is going to happen long term?
Well, there's a short term that is through midnight tonight, and then a somewhat medium run term, and that is at least until next week and next Monday if the House Republicans cannot all be asked to come back to Washington because they're currently on recess. They still are needed to cast a ballot in favor of whatever it is the Senate decides to do. So that's the medium run. In the longer run, the 2-week period, if that goes through both chambers of the Congress, that is going to be a very difficult set of negotiating tools to accomplish. And in the medium to longer run, what that means is that any of the activities that are taking place currently that are linked into DHS, but that also may affect things like housing and social welfare and education, all of the appropriations bills that are not yet in law, those also will be part of the government shutdown that will start at midnight tonight if it goes forward.
Yeah, and going off of that, people at home are probably thinking another government shutdown. Here we go again. We just saw this happening here. So when we do talk about this partial government shutdown, what are Americans going to be seeing? Are they going to be feeling the impacts of that?
It depends on what kind of Americans and where they are and what services they depend on. In the shorter run over the weekend, there will be some services that will not be available. That will be true of websites and those sorts of things. If it goes much beyond Monday, then we'll see some of the targeted impacts in places like if all of the other 5 appropriations bills aren't agreed to, those are going to come in housing and urban development. They're going to come in the education department. They're going to come in parts of the Department of War or Defense. So all of those cuts will be coming as well, at least in the short run.
Dr. Hull, is there anything else that you think I might have missed that the viewers should know at home who are watching this?
Well, as some of it is what we might think of as inside baseball, that so much depends on rules and individual agreements within both the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House, as well as across Pennsylvania Avenue between the Congress and the president. This is all quite volatile because people can change their negotiating positions and both their public comments and what they are saying in private. That's really difficult to track from the outside for many of us.
All right. Well, Dr. Holt, thank you as always for joining us on Live Now from Fox this week.
Okay, latest update on that.
Nina just built an
Wicked Virginia nurse who called on social media followers to poison ICE agents has been fired. As previously reported, a nurse who worked for Virginia Commonwealth University's hospital named Melinda Cook shared a series of videos on TikTok encouraging people to inject ICE agents with a temporary paralysis drug and then to spray poison on them. She also encouraged women to seek out ICE agents for dates and then drug their food. Let's take a look.
Some X-Lax and put it in their drinks. Grab some syringes with needles on the end. Get the poison ivy oak water, and I'm going to put it into a water gun.
Terrible. That's what people are talking about yesterday. About 10 minutes.
The people who say nothing ever happens. Don Lemon has been arrested. I repeat, Don Lemon has been arrested. Let's click on the article, make sure it's not clickbait. Oh yeah, baby, this is real. Ex-CNN host Don Lemon arrested for Minnesota church storming and invasion, which is, of course, a crime. And before anybody says, well, wait a second, he's just a journalist, I know, I have as close friends, as guests on our show, journalists who were arrested for covering January 6th. Just because you're a journalist doesn't give you a shield, and Don Lemon, I wouldn't argue, is a journalist, but doesn't give you a shield for criminality. And that is precisely what Don Lemon engaged in the church storming, where he straight up admits that his entire role at the church storming is to make people uncomfortable and to cause trauma for children. This is what the dude straight up says. In one scene, I mean, he walks up to the front of the church and harasses the pastor. Try doing that with an imam or a rabbi, right? It's only Christianity that gets treated like this. But in this scene, Don Lemon says, oh, traumatizing.
I hear, look, hugging his kid. And, you know, I've imagined it's uncomfortable and traumatic for the people here, but protesting is about. And so
that's what protesting is about. You know, I understand that it's traumatic for your little kids. According to the affidavit, the kids were being unlawfully detained. Is unlawfully detained. They were trapping them in their Sunday schools and preventing the parents from getting to the children. That's what the lawsuit says. Don Lemon, of course, was part of this group. Obviously, the reason why I think he was arrested here is because the other members of the group were tattling on him. Don Lemon immediately threw the organizers of this group under the bus, and Don Lemon now has been arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles while covering the Grammys.
Gardner White is the absolute best place to buy Tempur-Pedic. We have more Tempur-Pedic beds in stock than anyone else. Your perfect fit is ready for as low as $17 a month with no interest. Plus, get a $300 free gift and free same-day delivery. Save up to $500 at Gardner White.
Find a Planet Fitness near you for $1 down, $15 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends January 30th.
Oh, no. Okay. So 60-year-old, you know how old he is? He's 60 years old. Bro, you're 60 years old. Grow up, man. Grow up. Don Lemon arrested in Los Angeles Friday morning after joining immigration protesters storming a church. Former CNN anchor, 60 years old, has been taken into federal custody for the incident. Filmed at City's Church in St. Paul on January 18th. He has been charged with conspiracy to deprive rights in violation of the FACE Act. Oh, it's just delicious here. Amazing. Interfering by force in somebody's First Amendment rights. This is just incredible. The KKK Act. There it is. Before Don Lemon was arrested, he attended the Grammys Recording Academy Honors Award in Los Angeles, where he was pictured alongside Busta Rhymes. Just perfect. How many people have been photographed next to Busta Rhymes and then gone to prison immediately afterwards? I don't know. Probably more than one. Anyway, the incident led to Lemon's arrest unfolded earlier in the month. He filmed the protesters. Don Lemon. Protesters screamed and harassed worshipers during the incident, which sparked nationwide fury. In a statement from Lemon's attorney, Abe Lowell, following the arrest, he defended the storming of the church, saying it was constitutionally protected. No, it's not. Let's go ahead and read that statement. Here we go. This is the statement issued, including, of course, a photo of Don Lemon. Like, of course, you got to put the branding on there. Branding. Oh my gosh. Here we go. A statement from the attorney for Don Lemon. Don Lemon was taken into custody by federal agents last night in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammys. Don has been a journalist for 30 years. And his constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he's always done. No, Don Lemon has never stormed a church. And of course, he would never dare storm a synagogue or a mosque. But no, this is something totally and wholly unique. You can't ever find a situation like this, like Senator before, and I have plenty of footage of exactly what Don Lemon did because it was all live streamed. The First Amendment exists to protect journalists whose role it is to shine light on the truth and hold people accountable. There is no more important time for people like Don to be doing this work. Okay, you should never storm a church. Again, I mean, it's stupid, but like you reverse this and you say that if Alex Jones had stormed a mosque, then it would be a hate crime. And it would be the number one story in the world. If Alex Jones goes running up and starts interviewing an imam at the head of a mosque, except obviously, right? Obviously. They're so dumb. And they don't think that the rules apply to them because they haven't applied to them for the last 50 years. But now they apply to them. So, I'm here for it. I love it. Instead of investigating federal agents who killed 2 powerful Minnesota protesters, they are being investigated, by the way, the Trump Justice Department is devoting its time and attention to resources on this arrest and take real, and that is the real indictment of wrongdoing in this case. It is an unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attack on the First Amendment. Got it. Okay. It's always an attack on the First Amendment. It's always an attack on the First Amendment for like that, right? When Jimmy Kimmel gets put in timeout. But it's never an attack on the First Amendment when Nick Shirley, Nick Sotor, Cam Higbee, when actual independent journalists that break real stories get viciously attacked. James O'Keefe, they were told James O'Keefe they were going to murder him this week. They were going to murder him. Nobody told Don Lemon that, and nobody should, of course. But that's like what happens, and I know this because I go to these things. What happens is the left sees me or James or Nick or Cam or Savannah Hernandez or whatever, and then they say they're going to murder us. There are multiple people sitting in federal prison right now that threaten to murder my family. So shut up with your attack on you're silent on all that. You don't care about any of that. You don't care about the First Amendment. This isn't a fact of principle. I can say in principle that nobody should threaten Don Lemon's family or Don Lemon. I can say that, and it can be true for everyone. And I can say that's wrong, But I can also say that, like, if any of us were to storm a place of worship, we'd all be in jail. And that's what Don Lemon did, and now Don Lemon is going to jail. Unprecedented attack on the First Amendment will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. Okay. Boy, oh boy. Here's what the internet is saying about it. Don Lemon. Retribution. The Democrats found a way to indict President 97 times in 3 different jurisdictions on phony charges. Republicans can't find a way to indict Don Lemon for his crimes. That's literally on video. Well, we finally did it, I guess, right? Don Lemon arrested. His attorney releases the statement. Throw the book at him and every other monster who violated the rights of Christians. That's right. Don Lemon, 2 minutes in jail. Don told the judge that refused the criminal complaint against Don Lemon as a magistrate judge. Yeah. Who was, they finally got him, though. They got it, though. Don Lemon needs to be arrested in perp walk. Where's the perp walk? Andrew Wilson. I hate Don Lemon, by the way. Joe Rogan, he's one of the dumbest mother effers that has ever gone on television.
I was watching one the other day. We were live, and it was Don Lemon. And he had showed up in Minnesota. And the first thing Don Lemon does, right? I hate Don Lemon, by the way. But the first thing
one
he does,
of the dumbest motherfuckers that has ever gotten on television.
He's terrible. First thing he does, he drives up in this car. He's in the back seat. He jumps out of the car and he has this shit-eating lemon smile on his face, and he runs over with Starbucks to these people. And he's like, here you go.
Yeah.
And then he jumps back in the car, right? And they drive off. Now, here's what's interesting about this. He comes back. And he's in there with the protesters, you know what I mean? And he's interviewing them. Most of the protesters say, we're coming from out of town. We're from this state. I'm from 2 states away. I'm from 3 states away, for this totally organic protest. Well, the cops, what they start doing, they have these guardrails on the sidewalk in front of the ICE facility. And there's gaps inside of that barrier. So they pull their police cruisers in just to fill those gaps so that they stay behind the barrier. And Lemon's like, why would they do that? Why would they keep us compressed, behind this barrier? And I'm thinking, because you just stopped your car in the middle of the street to run across the road and give these guys Starbucks, you idiot.
Don Lemon in prison, ladies and gentlemen. It is what I voted for. If you voted for it, you should like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Is this going to backfire? Is this a smart move? Is this finally good? Or is the left finally being treated like we were treated? I will never forget my friends who this exact same thing and much worse happened to them on January 6th. So I'm here for it. Got what I voted for again. See ya.
Okay, that was today's video on Benny. First one. We'll come back. I want to do, what is this one here?
Slip up here. This is the kind of brazen scandal that ruins careers and can actually land people behind bars. And while this story unfolds, Mamdani completely imploded on stage last night in a spectacle of epic failure. Plus, his true colors came out, showcasing a Uganda-first socialist who hates the wealthy, except, of course, when they're funneling cash into his campaign. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, he tries to flex star power. He brings out Letitia James, who I'm telling you has a complete and utter meltdown over her mortgage fraud indictment. This clip shows she is in pure panic mode. As always, smash that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned. I've got a bonus clip for you at the end. It's pretty funny. In fact, I should warn you, don't take a sip while watching or you just might choke. But first, let's break down Zohran Mamdani's absolute train wreck of a rally that happened last night. He stormed the stage to a rap track. I can't even air it for you. I wanted to play you the clip, but it is packed with profanity and chilling references to violence, murdering people, to be exact. I mean, seriously, search it out online. It is a stunning low for anyone vying for office in America. Mamdani, he shows zero loyalty, though, to this nation, with an agenda that pushes to create a socialist empire that traps people in government just for ultimate control. Mamdani is under a scorching spotlight after explosive reports revealed his ties to corruption. And we're not talking about a little slip up here.
Sorry about that. We got a lot of hers today, but we're going to do Trisha. Well, let's do, we'll get Trisha. Come back to. Haven't been.
Flat out lie. I think she just got caught in a lie. And I actually think if she's lying about law enforcement, there should be a penalty for that. ICE has absolutely zero record, they wrote, of its officers or agents pulling over Congressman Omar's son with no evidence. It is shameful. Shameful. The Congresswoman Omar would level accusations to demonize ICE as part of a PR stunt. But this is what she does. I mean, she demonizes it all the time. And if she's not demonizing ICE, of course, she's demonizing the president or the president's top policy person, Stephen Miller. Listen to this one. It'll make you sick.
Nobody should ever have hired Stephen Miller, who basically is a copycat of the Nazis, and that's kind of the cruelty that he wants to inflict on people.
You see, and nobody from that MSNBC, whatever they call themselves now, the Miz Network, no one calls her out. Nobody questions her. Nobody says, gee, that might be going a little too far. Why? Because they say the same damn stuff themselves on the show all the time. This is how crazy the world has gotten. And as you heard me say earlier in the program, that is just flat out wrong. And it is bad. And it's desecrating the history and everything that happened, because you're equating the death of millions and millions and millions and millions of people with ICE arresting a few and sending them back to where they came from. Like a few criminals, let me add. Criminals, okay? They have done really, really, really bad things. But Ilhan Omar thinks it's all just meant to take her down, the self-serving, narcissistic mind that she has. She's not a very good Muslim, too, by the way. I mean, she owns a winery. What Muslim do you know that owns a winery? She has been married 3 times. Is that common? I thought that was just men. Men can get married 30 times. All just fine, but a woman, Ilhan, you're not really living up to the ideals there. I mean, you got the outfit, but it seems to be just about it. So this is hubby number 3. I mean, the second one may have been May have been more than a hubby, may have been actually a blood relative. If you were to believe what Daily Mail has reported and the New York Post has reported, I'll tell you, the president needs to get to the bottom of that one too. I think a simple DNA test would suffice. Do you not? Anyway, Ilhan Omar is now in a lot of trouble because you get Treasury Department looking at her and you've got Congress looking at her for ethical violations because it's not clear just exactly how the hubby made all his money. And this is her money too, you see. Here is her asset filing report that she submitted within the last 6 months. And she says that she's got this thing called Rose Lake Capital. Let's go back for a second. I want to go back to this. I feel like there was a similar name for Biden's sons. Was it Rosewood Capital or something? Or I feel like that was used before. They like the lake or they like the rose. I don't know. Anyway, $5 to $25 million is what he is estimating the worth of Rose Lake Capital, even though like 2 years ago it had $42 in income. And even though it turns off no money for him. In fact, there's no income out of this partnership that he has. They also have S Crew Winery, which doesn't actually have any land. So it's not actually a winery that is in operation where they're actually picking the grapes. No. I guess he was trying to buy the wine from someone else and like slap a label on it. But she's suing him, the woman he was buying the wine from, for fraud. Oh, imagine that. Fraud, ladies and gentlemen, with a capital F. Gosh darn it. So this thing doesn't have a website. It doesn't have a phone number. We don't really know what it is. But I'll tell you what James Comer has raised, the accusation of possible money laundering. Maybe it's a money laundering operation. We don't really know. I find it very peculiar. So Rose Lake Capital, he says, is a venture capital management firm right there on the description. Well, I want to show you Rose Lake Capital. Remember we've been talking about this? And I said I took a good hard look at the website. Well, let's take a look at it together. Okay, this is Rose Lake Capital, exclusive partnerships for global operators, unparalleled previous experience. Okay, this is interesting. So there's nothing here that suggests to be a venture capital firm. You see, a venture capital firm, if you're not familiar with venture capital firms make investments in new companies. So they find like some cool new technology and they're like, we can grow this thing. And so they put what they call seed money into this and they help grow it. So I don't think he's putting seed money into anything. I think he's actually trying to get people to work with him on all of these different global opportunities he can help. He's going to create solutions for our clients and our partners. Rose Lake is focused on unique global opportunities where our experience can create bespoke solutions for our clients and our partners. Our team of world-class experts, him and Ilhan, harness their combined centuries of experience. Oh, wow. And deep global networks. Oh, you got global networks, all right, all the way to Somalia, from on the ground work in more than 80 countries, working across business, politics, banking, and diplomacy. Gosh, this sounds sketch. Like super duper total sketch. Or sus, as the kids like to say. I mean, that is not a venture capital firm. Hate to break it to you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not a venture capital firm. That might be a lobbying firm. Give us your money and we'll get X, Y, and Z done. We'll grease the system for you, so to speak, but that's not a venture capital firm. So they're going to have a lot of explaining to do. All right. Again, Ilhan, we didn't ask the question. You volunteered that you're worth up to $30 million right now. It's just strange. Okay. Really strange. Prove us wrong. I mean, hey, we're going to say you're innocent until proven guilty. Why don't we do that? But you know what we're thinking in the back of our heads. So prove us wrong so that we don't have to talk about this. Tell us what really goes on, how your husband really makes his money. And it better not be, for your sake, through suitcases, $700 million. Suitcases worth of cash. This is what they actually declare via TSA through the Hawala Money Network going overseas to the Middle East, Dubai. Specifically, I'll tell you, she's got some sketchy stuff going on and they're scared. They're terrified. Keith Ellison's terrified. And by the way, out in California, they're terrified too. I always wondered why the heck people go into politics. Like there's no money in it. I don't think there's any glory in it. You got people picking on you all the time, but you know what? Apparently there may be money in it. And that's what we're going to find out. And this is what makes Americans really angry, really, really, really angry. as it should.
Hey, that's the first one on Shred. I got a important sad video I should get out. I can't remember if I played it or not, but it's under 5 minutes. Can't remember if I played it.
On March 28th, 2025, my daughter Chris's life and mine changed forever. My 22-year-old daughter was riding on the back of a motorcycle with a friend when Valeria Bermudez Marcano blew through a stop sign, cut across multiple lanes, and hit them, launching my daughter headfirst into the concrete barrier at Parker and 225. Instead of staying to help, to even check if my daughter was still alive, as any decent human being would do, Valeria fled the scene. She did not stay. She did not call 911. She did not check whether my daughter was still breathing. Passengers Luis Bello Rodriguez and Stephanie Carolina Marcano ran from the scene with her. They ran, leaving my daughter unconscious, bleeding, and alone in the roadway like cowards. Early predictions were that she would not make it. She suffered an open fracture of her femur, fractured arm, extensive facial fractures, and a traumatic brain injury so severe that her prognosis was grim. Our beautiful daughter's face was unrecognizable. Slowly, we spent the next few days getting more information about the driver. Valeria Bermudez Marcano was an unlicensed and uninsured Venezuelan immigrant. She was released on a $500 bond 2 days later. Carissa loved people. She believed deeply in helping others, including those who came from other countries. But on that night, Valeria repaid my daughter's kindness by leaving her in the road to die. So now I have no choice but to pick up this mantle, because no parent should go through what I have. And sadly, I know I'm not the only one. We shouldn't have to wait until tragedy strikes to remove someone that is willing to break our laws and put American families at risk. Meanwhile, Chris is living with those consequences every day. She is fed through a G-tube, a surgically placed feeding tube in her stomach, because she can no longer eat on her own. We use a Hoyer lift, essentially a crane, to move her in and out of bed because she cannot sit, stand, or support her own weight. She has a tracheostomy that helps her breathe. She is wheelchair bound. She is nonverbal. She is minimally conscious. She doesn't smile. She doesn't laugh. She cannot tell me when she's in pain. She cannot say, "Mom, I'm scared." And she cannot say, "I love you." But she does know when she's around people who love her. That I can see. The only thing that gets me through every day is the knowledge that God has the final say. I cling to his promises and pray without ceasing that he would heal and restore her to us. Carissa deserved better. Our family deserved better. Families in this country deserve better. We have to demand better of our politicians, to not let greed and selfish ambition get in the way of protecting American families. We have to expect more from the people that enter our country, to obey our laws, to be an asset to our communities, not a tragedy waiting to happen. You don't get to come here, commit crimes, completely destroy a young woman's life, as well as everyone around her, and cry about deserving to stay. I know Jesus calls us to forgive those who have sinned against us, and I am working through it. It's just going to take time. But let me be clear. Forgiveness is not an exemption of consequences. God is perfectly just, and he is not mocked. What Valeria, Stephanie, and Luis have sown, so shall they reap. I will keep praying, and I will keep fighting, and I will keep telling Chris's story until justice is done, because my daughter's life matters. My name is Patty Fox, and
very sad story. People got to get that video out.
what? I woke up this morning, turned on the news, and I don't know what it is about this morning. I cannot put my finger on it. But there was just, I don't know, I have like a happiness about me today. Anybody else can y'all figure that out? Anybody else feeling the same joy that I am? I'm just waiting for the whole, you're racist, you're Nazis to follow. Okay. So I've got some updates for you. Iran has came out that Iran, their little thugs that work for them that go around unaliving everybody, were going into the hospitals to drag out the protesters that they didn't quite unalive, that they were like in ICU or whatever, drag them out and unalive them. Not to mention they yanked people that were on life support to take care of their own that had been injured, I guess, in whatever scuffle, because as far as I know, the Iranian people are not allowed to have these. I don't know how they got hurt, maybe some other way. That's what we got going on over there. I'm hoping Trump will hurry up and do something and take care of the situation. Claudia Tenney, I believe, is the Republican rep in New York that has come out and said that Governor Hochul is going to have a news conference today. She's getting on the whole ISIS bad bandwagon because it wasn't bad enough that Minneapolis is doing it and Minnesota. Sorry, I know they're the same. It's a state and a city, and that ain't quite right. But y'all know what I'm trying to say. So it wasn't bad enough that Minnesota and Philadelphia come out saying we're not working with them. They're Nazis. Hochul is having a conference today, going to announce that New York is not going to work with them and they're not going to have their police officers assist. You motherfuckers, okay? I have got a screenshot I'm going to post here of all the people in a group, not all of them, this many little bitty teeny tiny heads that have been unalive by illegals, but keep protecting them, okay? The other thing, so it's not enough that Prince Charles, who had absolutely nothing to do with slavery, just like you and I did not have anything to do with slavery, it wasn't enough that he came out and apologized for slavery that he had nothing to do with. They are now, because there's nothing else in this in America to worry about, so now they are demanding that he apologize from the crown for slavery. So how many times are we going to talk about this? Okay. Do you guys know how many white people were enslaved for hundreds upon hundreds of years? And all we talk about is the black people that were enslaved. Oh my God. I am so fucking fed up. And y'all want reparations, right? Well, I want reparations, okay? My people were Irish. They had all kind of issues in New York. People been taking them for slaves for years. It happened in Europe. The Muslims are the biggest slave traders, by the way. But let's worry about Prince Charles, who's battling cancer.
I'm about to play this
and make him apologize for some shit he ain't got nothing to fucking do with. Because we ain't got enough to worry about, okay? Well, guys, looks like Pam Bondi might be stepping up her act. And by the way, did you know 5 judges denied her to be able to arrest him? 5. So I don't know what's going to come of this. And more than likely, Don Lemon's going to turn around and file a lawsuit, okay? Oh, the last but not goodiest. The last but the goodiest. Sorry. I'm a little hyper this morning. I know that I got to get out today because tomorrow's going to be high of 33 with 20-mile-an-hour winds. Okay, so you know what I'm thinking about. You know the woman that got her fingers blown off because she grabbed the flash bomb and threw it? It didn't work out, though. Guess what? That's a man who decided to transition after he had BEAT his wife. I'm hearing reports that he unalived a child. I have not verified that. However, there are several reports saying this man had been arrested so many times that he changed his sex so that he was able to stay in that reservation because apparently it's an Indian. Can you say Indian? Do I piss anybody off by saying the word fucking Indian this morning? That's what we got out there protesting. That's what we got against ICE. We got transgender people who have beat other people and transitioned to keep from going to jail or keep from getting kicked out of their little society. That's what's on the streets protecting the criminals. So it makes a lot of sense, don't it, guys? Don't forget, carry all day. Take care of yourselves, guys. Ooh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's gotten really good. Oh, I'm on that Fox app, so I think my picture's a little clearer. I think. I don't know if it made a difference. I think it's on Fox. Yeah, Carol, I had internet issues. I had to get the new password because I got free Wi-Fi here, and I had to reprogram. Some people were waiting. Thanks for people waiting and stuff. So we started right at the top of the hour. So we'll go to 2:00 and then come back at 5. Probably go 5 to 8 tonight, since it's Friday. So we'll do that. Anybody catch Dan last night on Fox?
Meet our experts. They do your taxes, so you can walk out with confidence. Now this is Taxes.
Here with reaction, former FBI Deputy Director, friend of the program, Dan
About 6
Bongino, by
minutes,
the
you
way.
guys.
Bongino is back. He's on Rumble, 10 a.m. I know you told me you were only going to be at the FBI for a year. You kept your commitment. Let's talk about what you're seeing here.
You know, listening to Tim Walz and these other, left-wing jokers talk about public safety as if they have any kind of like lodestar or 12-step manual to get it done it's tragic. It's not funny. It really is tragic. These guys are clowns. Before people like Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump with that go get 'em boys attitude where you get these bad guys off the street came into power, they had to clean up the mess from these clowns running their cities the way they did. But to hear Walz talking, let me show you what real cops do. Well, I know what real cops do. Real cops would do real cop stuff, more real cop stuff, if people like Tim Walz and others would let them be real cops. Sean, just think about this, man. I'm a numbers guy. I like spreadsheets. Numbers can be boring. This one's not boring, I promise you. The President of the United States, under his first year, we just had the lowest number of homicides in recorded history. Not only that, the percentage drop from last year, which understandably was still pretty low, was also a record number. That was under this administration. Why? Because he let cops be cops and he let us go get the bad guys and he shut down the border. It's not freaking rocket science, man. But again, to hear these clowns on the left talk about this like they have some bedrock model of the left-wing success on public safety it's a tragic joke on all of us. It's a shame.
All right, let's talk about this guy, Alex Preddy. And, I know it was 10 days prior. I will concede the point to their family attorney that is not related to what happened when he was shot. However, he was armed in both instances. However, he's saying, come assault me, mother effer. However, he's spitting at agents and law enforcement and then kicking their car and knocking the taillight off while armed at the same time. People ask me, because I've been a pistol carry permit my entire adult life. You learn to de-escalate. That is critical. You learn safety and security. You don't start confrontation. In this video, he's starting confrontation. You don't resist. What do you see?
Well, the video, I think, just came out, today or so? So there's going to be an investigation on this. It's going to be an exhaustive one. There's going to be body cam video and everything else that's going to come out over time. Obviously, the individual had the right to carry a firearm, a huge Second Amendment advocate.
I agree.
That is, yeah. So, that we have to we have to silo that one off. You have both the First and Second Amendment right to protest in the country, and also you can carry a firearm. But I want to see this thing play out. I think the responsible thing to do is for everybody to gather all the inputs and produce a, informed output at the end. And we just don't have all the data yet. That's just the facts. So I'm going to let this thing play out, and I'll form an opinion on it when I have all the inputs to get it all together.
I want to go back to something that you said about when this goes back to July of last year, and you put out a very cryptic tweet. And you didn't disclose your specific findings, but you were shocked at what you have learned in the short time you've been on the job at that point, about 6 months or so, and that a republic cannot survive knowing what you found. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to keep it short, but I was sitting in the office on a Friday night over at Hoover on the 7th floor of the FBI building. And I was just me and the security detail. It was late. I was the last one around. It was only, I wasn't trying to be a martyr. There was nothing else, for me to go home to. I was alone that weekend. So I stayed at work late, and I was reading through some stuff that you can only read in the office. And it just involved basically the collusion hoax, Crossfire Hurricane, as it went by, and the various other spinoffs. And when you read from the inside, Sean, when you see the details of what these just absolute animals did to President Trump, and the barriers that broke down and the guardrails, it was. I mean, I'm not shocked often, Sean. I'm really not. I'm not. I'm not trying to put on some faux set of armor. I'm just not shocked often. I've lived 1,000 lifetimes between the Secret Service, the NYPD, running for office, TV shows, and all this other stuff. Just reading through it and seeing it in detail for the first time, all put together, you can run a republic like this. You can't. Wow. You absolutely cannot. It was just stunning how all these guardrails broke down at the exact same time, and nobody there. Thank God there wasn't. It was and still is a long-ranging investigation into this stuff. Because it's just frightening how no one thought to speak up and say, hey, man, not only is this wrong, this is like demonic. This is evil stuff. They ruined this man's life, President Trump, over, you get the rest, bull, fill in the blanks.
I got it. We call it Schiff.
It was always BS. Yeah. It was always BS. But I want you to understand, listen to me, everyone else. It was always BS. There was never anything there. It was always BS.
All right, Dan Bongino's back.
Okay, now, Dan. Hey, I got an update, you guys. Breaking news. Hey, Samantha, just in time.
Yes. And if we're about the future of this democracy, we must be vigilant in defending the freedoms.
And we had a video earlier.
Even and especially when they're tested. Mm-hmm. This is a test. Georgia, Ford, and Minnesota, the canary in the coal mine. Mm-hmm. We intend that they'll become the phoenix that rises, not from the ashes, but from the bloom of resistance. Yeah. Thank you.
We got more breaking news. Another school shooting in Texas. Hopefully Kay will be coming in. I'm glad I had nothing to do today.
We're here for 2 more people, and then we'll open it up for any questions that we have.
My name is Rod Adams. I'm the executive director of the New Justice Project Minnesota, and also a fellow Bush Fellow and New Sons Fellow with a friend of.
I'll go to 2 o'clock and then come back at 5 o'clock.
The thing I want to say is, George Floyd, and also in this moment with the ICE occupation, thousands of media outlets descend upon Minneapolis. But before in between those times, who told our stories? Georgia.
Yes. Yes.
Who told the stories that no one else wanted to tell about Black people? Who told the stories that no one wanted to hear? Georgia. Because the truth is real, and Georgia is a truth teller.
Yes,
and I'll say now, you can lock up a truth teller, but you can't lock up the truth. America has a problem. The first sign of a crumbling democracy is attack on free speech. The First Amendment is not only the reason folks can speak out freely, but it's the reason why I am a free person today. The First Amendment allowed people to protest slavery. The First Amendment allowed unions to form and to fight for the protections that we have today. Without the First Amendment, what are we? This country is supposed to be built on freedom and democracy. But I look around and I want to ask you, where is this freedom you speak of?
Yeah.
Where is this democracy you speak of? And if it does exist, who does it exist for? Georgia is a hero.
Yeah.
Georgia, from community events to the midst of tear gas and flashbangs and rubber bullets flying around, Georgia was there. Yeah. When no one else paid attention to Black Minnesota, Georgia paid attention. Yeah. So we're gonna stand up for Black press, and we're gonna stand up for Black women.
That's right.
We find ourselves at the edge. And the only way in which we can push ourselves back is if people stand up. So if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, if you're Black, if you're white, if you're Asian, if you're Christian, if you're Muslim, this is the time in which we have to stand up against this federal administration that has.
Okay, we got to get to the other breaking news. If I can find it. Oh, ICE is in Michigan yesterday. Well, JRL had that shooting. Oh, shoot. Where'd he go? Hang on a second. Oh, this was a day ago. This was yesterday, you guys. Well, it's about 5 minutes here.
So we have some sort of situation going on at one of the schools in San Antonio. Judson Charter School.
Voy a entrar adentro a controlar la situación.
The Western girls, we can say that's French. All right. Oh, just keep an eye out.
So that was from yesterday. All right, let's get back to doing the regular intel here. We got, I don't think we played this, did we?
And saying he's estimating this
This one's
somewhere
16,
around
you guys.
possibly 3 or 4 times what they are currently estimating. You could be seeing $80 billion worth of this stuff.
Might be a new one.
So in Minnesota, they think it's $19 billion. If they think it's $19 billion, triple it or quadruple it. And if we catch a lot of this fraud, and I felt it for a long time, but now we know what's happening. And the answer is, yeah, there will be accountability. It's one of the little problems. You know, I happen to think, and I've said it from the beginning, that a lot of what's going on with respect to Minneapolis, you know, with what's happening with all the hoopla, is so people don't talk about.
You think it's a distraction?
I've said it from day one. It's a distraction because what you don't see is that we have hundreds of accountants from Todd and from all of the different people. We have hundreds of accountants going over everything that's happening, and we're finding fraud on top of fraud on top of fraud. And I think that they don't want that to happen. You're talking about $19 billion. Probably that's a minimal number. Now, you take that and you go to California. You think California is better? I would say California is worse. It's totally out of control. They don't know what they're doing out there.
Yeah, no, they don't. And already we've seen Dr. Oz reporting on the fraud out of California. You're talking Medicaid fraud on steroids. But by the way, just keeping it home to Minnesota for a second, look at Nick Shirley out there pounding the streets of his home community saying, okay, what's going on with these hospice centers? This is brand new, guys. A YouTuber doing the work of 30, 60-minute staffers all in one, okay? And he just is asking the right questions because you know what? He doesn't have a bias where he doesn't want to hear the answer. Nick Shirley, everyone. YouTuber Nick Shirley does it again.
To the next building that had 22 of the same home health care providers operating from inside of the building.
Right here, you have multicultural home care. And right here, it says it's open, but can't even get in. Another Reliance Recovery Center. Mercy and Grace Care, Inc. Right here, you have Den Eritrean Youth Development Association of Minnesota. Another child care center. Welcome to Bright Beginning Center. But what do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Sorry. No comments.
Right here, you have Serenity Quality Care. All of these businesses are literally the same type of business, providing the same service in the same building. Another Convenience Home Healthcare Aid, Inc. and Child Friendly Space. All these companies get money from the government. Why would you have the same company essentially inside of the same building, door to door? Right here, Queenly Home Healthcare. It just does not make sense. If you're trying to operate a business, you'd want to have less competition. But here, they have all of their competition right next door. We're wondering, because we hear there's lots of fraud taking place here in Minnesota, and we're wondering, why is there so many of the same companies inside of this same building?
No, I don't know that.
What do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't have any idea about that fraud. Okay?
Mhm.
That's it.
What do you think about the news articles and what's being spread on the news about the fraud?
Right now, you are doing something wrong.
I'm just asking you.
No, you
about
don't
the
have
fraud.
to ask me. Okay. Don't
Oh.
ask me that question again.
Okay.
Okay.
Who can I speak to?
Hmm?
Who can I speak to? Okay. As soon as you confront about the fraud, they get angry.
You know, 60 Minutes, you might want to take a look at that kid. Yeah, they absolutely should, but you know, they won't because 60 Minutes being what 60 Minutes is, doesn't actually want to hear some of the things that this kid is actually out there reporting. So congrats to him. I mean, here's the problem. It's happening and it's happening everywhere. And I realize that Timmy Waltz is living in his delusional world where he's just going to say anything to survive at this point. But I'll tell you, his neck's on the line because he's the guy that looked the other way. Don't forget what we have heard from state representatives that have come forward and said that whistleblowers have told them time and again that guess what? We came to Waltz's
this is
office with this
today's,
and they pushed us away. They didn't want to hear it. Ask yourself why. And I think you know the answer. Now Timmy is trying to pretend, literally trying to pretend that this is not a big deal. that somehow it's all make-believe. It's like, really? Did you say that? I got to show you what it's saying on that MSNBC.
Looking for tax help? Now there are TurboTax experts right in your neighborhood. They get to know your unique situation and get you every dollar you deserve. So hand off your taxes to a local TurboTax expert today.
So,
You mentioned this fraud investigation and the reason that they're here. Is there anything you think, when you look back, you could have done differently to prevent them from showing up and doing what they're doing here?
No, they were coming anyway. It was all make believe that we'd been at it. Every state had this. And look, I do think there has to be accountability in this. No one in state government was implicated. This happens all over. People did this. We got it caught. We put them in jail or whatever.
it does remind me of that time that Ilhan Omar said, some people did something. Is that like an expression that they use out in Minnesota or something? I don't know. We New Hampshire folk, we talk a little bit more plain, okay? I don't know. Timmy Walls, that's not okay. You can't sit there and tell us that is make-believe. You talk about trying to gaslight the public once again. And that's what they've been saying over on CNN as well. I've played you that soundbite. We don't need to do it again. But the girl who was who hosts like the 10 o'clock show, I don't know her name, Abby something, forgive me. And she was on with Scott Jennings, and Scott's talking about this. And she's like, but they are, you know, they've done everything. And the feds are looking into it. It's not a big deal. You better believe it's a big deal. I mean, and Trump is right. Like if where there's smoke, there's fire. If you found $19 billion estimated to be gone, like why wouldn't that be 80? Like why wouldn't that? And think about California. Already we know from the General Accounting Office, the GAO, that nationwide, it's believed $600 billion in fraud, poof, gone. From our national debt. I saw you guys talking about that. Yeah, what do you think adds to our national debt? Think of how much more money we'd have. Right? Think of how much more money we would have if we could recover all that, not to mention the pure unfairness of it. Like, hey, we're Americans. We believe in working hard. We believe in giving opportunity and rewarding that opportunity. It's just who we are, right? We're coming up on our 250th anniversary. Think about it. And why have we become the greatest nation on earth, the greatest economy here on earth? Because, well, a few reasons, right? I think it gets all back to the Declaration of Independence, frankly, because from the beginning, we have stood for something very different. And we have protected property, and we have protected ideas, and we have protected and nourished capitalism as a result. So think about this. I mean, we're coming up on the 250, right? It's a big, 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 how exciting. I mean, think how exciting, right? To be here for the 250th anniversary of this country. Well, here's a great question worth asking. What does the Declaration of Independence actually mean to us today? And that's something that Americans for Prosperity is launching in this One Small Step program, a year-long celebration and commitment to making sure that we all mark collectively together America's 250th birthday, built around a simple idea. Every major turning point in our history started when ordinary people took responsibility for the country they love. To kick things off, they have released January's One Small Step Toolkit, centered on the Declaration of Independence and the founding principles that still matter today: freedom, self-government, civic duty. And they're asking all of us, me included, you included, I've gotten mine already. So I'm asking you, together with them, and they're one of our great sponsors here on the show, to together to get your own copy of the Declaration of Independence and sign it yourself. Read it
10 minutes
and sign it,
you guys.
I mean, why not, right? It's kind of a fun idea. 250th anniversary. You can download it right here. I'm giving you the A250toolkit.com. A250, you get it, America 250 toolkit.com. You can go check it out right here. Download it. It just takes about 30 seconds and add yourself to a growing list of Americans who believe in our rights coming from God, not from the government. Thank you very much. So go to 250, A250 Toolkit. That's A250toolkit.com. Check it out. It's a January toolkit. You can sign up and take your small step towards America's next chapter. Again, A250 Toolkit. Really, really good stuff. All right, the president is doubling down on Ilhan Omar. You don't want to be heard right about now. Maybe she likes it. Who knows? But he had his cabinet meeting today, and he saved a few choice words for one Ilhan Omar.
We have Ilhan Omar left and then she gives us lectures on the Constitution of the United States. These people are, what they've done to rip off our country is terrible.
Yes, it is terrible. You heard him say it could be $80 billion. It's pretty darn terrible. So he doesn't like her. In fact, he doesn't like her so much that he even suggested yesterday. Well, didn't suggest it. He actually just came right out and said it. He said this whole thing was fake, where she, and by the way, if it's all real, we obviously it's not okay, right? Like that should never, ever happen. So I don't want anybody to misinterpret what I'm saying and say that, I'm calling it fake. I'm just looking at this together with you because I think it's worth paying attention to what happened. And I got to tell you, I saw it. Some of you saw me on the yesterday show. I was making dinner for the kids at the time and I saw this on my phone. Someone sent it to me and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, who does that? Who actually runs towards the attacker? I know that they can put out substances that are extremely dangerous, right? I mean, think about how, the leader of North Korea took out his brother, right? Like they can just go up to you in an airport and touch you with something and it's game over. So nobody knew what this substance was. And instead of like being concerned and saying, I got to shower, I got to get it off, I got to go to the emergency room and get this checked out. Like she was like, oh, it's no big deal. Her Secret Service is like, oh, no, it's no big deal. And like the funniest thing of all is she tries to tackle the guy. And like I said, she's like 90 pounds, okay? Like 5'2" or something. She's a teeny little lady. And she like runs after him.
Market is
So she's either just
460.
really stupid, which is entirely possible, right? I mean, given what her hubby was doing with his little venture capital firm, which we're going to get to, in the winery that isn't a winery, she might be really stupid. Or maybe it's what the president said. Tell me what you think. I mean, let's watch it together. We'll assess.
Must resign or face impeachment.
Yeah. Okay. So she's starting to go after him. I found that really weird. I mean, I just did. And the president, apparently he didn't see it, but he found it weird too. Or maybe he kind of knew. He's like, yeah, knowing her, she probably had herself sprayed. Again, let's look.
Must resign or face impeachment.
Introducing the Score Bet for Sunday, Monday, or any day that ends in Y. We're with you every game day with all.
Must resign or face impeachment.
So some of you guys have noted that it looks as though she gives him a little nod. And that could just be, again, we'll give her the benefit of the doubt. It could just be nodding to somebody in the audience. Or it could be something else like, hey, come and get me. This is your time.
You're pretty good at breaking this down.
Anyway, the whole thing is just weird. Here.
Must resign or face impeachment. I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
I need a napkin to know nothing.
And it smells.
No, we will.
No. You need to go get checked. No,
we will continue this. I'm not going to get away with it.
You need to go get checked. No, I don't know what.
Good point. That eased my mind.
She needs to go get checked.
On security.
That's what they want. Please don't let them know.
It's not about him, Ilhan. It's not about him. It's about your safety. No, he's.
I think I listened to that lady.
You need to go get checked. Yeah, and it smells terrible.
We're gonna keep talking. Just give me 10 minutes. Just give me 10 minutes.
Okay, she calls the shots around there. The Secret Service agent's looking at her like, you're crazy. But she's like, no, okay, I just need 10 minutes, Who cares? Who knows what happened, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. I'm going to stay here. And so, they say, MAGA suspects Ilhan Omar orchestrated town hall attack, completely staged. This is Raw's story. And they went after me because I shared the video clip on Twitter. And they said right-wing journalist Trish Regan asked, no wonder this is something people thought was staged. I mean, no wonder, right? No wonder. How is that so? But you can't call out anything. You can't say anything. This is the world in which they want to create. I mean, the best one of all, talking about not being able to call out anything, say anything. You remember, right? This little moment on CNN the other day where, they really can't say anything. They want to control the narrative all the time. Here was Scott Jennings actually trying to have a little discussion with somebody about all the illegals there. Did I find it? Do I have it? Let's see here. Oh, gosh, it's jumping around on me in the rundown. Well, if we can find it, I'll go back to it. But he wasn't allowed to say illegal. And he's like, who are you to say, like, I'm not saying illegal? Like, who to tell me I can't say illegal? They are illegal. Like, what do you want us? And the guy's like, you can't say that. You can't say that. So illegal. Like, we're just going to say it and we'll even sing it all day. Okay? Illegal, illegal, illegal. I'm sorry, but I'm sick of that. I'm tired of that. I've lived through it. Okay. I still to this day, like I've got PTSD. You can't say the word COVID. You got to say March 2020. So COVID too. All right. Well, we'll go for it. We're going to say whatever we want to say because we have still, last I checked, this little thing called the First Amendment. And by the way, you got everybody so twisted in all these freaking knots that you can't say this, you can't say that. I can't even keep up with it, honestly. What do they want us to call them now? Oh, is it still undocumented? I can't keep it track of it. Migrant, for a while, migrant was a bad word. You weren't supposed to say that. Well, listen, we're going to say whatever we want to say. And we're going to talk about Fulton County, Georgia, too. Okay, that's coming up. But the president doesn't believe for 2 seconds this was actually real. Here's the tweet. He spoke to an ABC News reporter, and she said, I just spoke to President Trump. I asked him about the video of Representative Omar being attacked and sprayed by a substance. And he said, no, I don't think about her. I think she's a fraud. I really don't think about that. She probably had herself sprayed, knowing her. I asked again if you'd seen the video. I haven't seen it. No. I hope I don't have to bother. So he kind of had the right reaction. She probably had herself sprayed.
So she broke that down really good. Another good one from Trish there. Yeah, we got yesterday's Kennedy there. I don't think I played them yesterday. No. Let's see which one. This one, 9 minutes. I don't think we played this one.
There's a lot we know. There's a lot we don't know. I want to talk about 3 things we do know. Number 1, the loss of life in Minneapolis was a tragedy. And if you can't admit that, you have a padlock on your heart. It was a tragedy.
Yeah,
we don't have all the facts. I know everyone's seen the videos, but the people involved, we haven't been interviewed. There are a lot of facts we have, but a lot of facts we don't have. And I am not going to rush to judge. I'm not going to rush to judge. President Trump has promised a full and thorough and transparent investigation. And I thank him for that. But regardless of what we find out, we all have to concede. We all should concede that the loss of life in Minneapolis was a tragedy. And I'm sorry it happened. Number 2, this is the second thing that I know. You don't have to be Einstein's cousin. You don't have to be a senior at Caltech to know that illegal immigration is illegal. Duh. It's illegal. And those of us who believe that no one is above the law, We all say we believe that. I believe it. No one, those of us who say that no one is above the law have to concede that people in our country illegally are not above the law either. The law applies to them as well. Our immigration statutes are not second-tier laws. They matter just as much as the other statutes that have been passed by the elected members of Congress. And just like the other laws, the immigration laws have consequences and should have consequences if you violate them. Now, so I guess what I'm saying, Mr. President, is I support enforcement of our immigration laws. Now, how you enforce those laws matters. Those laws, like all laws, have to be enforced in accordance with due process. Those immigration statutes, like all laws, have to be enforced in accordance with equal protection. Those laws have to be enforced in accordance with a well-known Supreme Court case, 1968, called Terry v. Ohio, which sets forth the standards. Reasonable suspicion is the standard chosen by the Supreme Court, by which someone can be stopped and questioned when a law enforcement official doesn't have probable cause. Terry v. Ohio has to be followed. So number one, illegal immigration is illegal. We should enforce our immigration laws, but how we enforce them matters. Third and final point. You have the right to protest in America. Let me say that again. You have the right to protest in America. You do not have the right to protest violently. And in fact, violence, as you protest, undermines the morality of the thing that you're protesting over. Let me say that again. Violence, if you choose violence when you protest, that undermines the morality of the movement that you say your movement is based upon. You know who else understood that? Dr. King. King understood it. Gandhi understood it. Mandela understood it. Violently protesting, not protesting, but violently protesting undermines the morality that you say your cause is built upon. It's also dangerous. It's dangerous it's dangerous and it's stupid. It's 12-piece bucket of stupid. Because when you protest violently, when you interfere with a cop or an ICE officer, it's not going to end well. It's not. Under the best of circumstances, these officers are trying to enforce federal law. And the people with respect to whom they're trying to enforce federal law are, in most cases, I'm not going to say all cases, but in most cases are criminals. Not criminals because they're here illegally, though that too is a violation of our law, but criminals because they have violated other laws, in many cases felonies. And those ICE officials, those cops are scared. They're scared. They're dealing with someone who could be armed, someone who could be dangerous. So you've got a powder keg. And when protesters choose to protest violently, and harass those ICE officials and blow whistles in their ears and block their way and spit in their faces and curse them and curse their children, they're giving off sparks in a powder keg. And it's not going to end well in many cases. And the truth of the matter is, it's been my experience in life, most, I'm not going to say all, most cops will leave you alone unless you do illegal stuff. So, as we go forward in America and try to enforce our laws in conformity with the United States Constitution, as we go forward together in America, and while we're respecting people's constitutional rights, we respect our law enforcement officials who are doing a very difficult job. As we go forward in America today, as the president has promised, to have a full and fair and transparent investigation of the tragic loss of life in Minneapolis, I hope we can keep those three things that I think all of us can agree upon in mind. I'm sorry we're at this point. But I believe that our future can be better than our present, and certainly than our past. Thank you, Mr. President, and I yield.
Okay, the latest with Kennedy there from yesterday. See, what do we got next? I got a Doug video. It's finally a short one, Cam, 8 minutes.
Matched with a TurboTax expert and get real-time updates on their progress, and you get your best outcome guaranteed. Switch to TurboTax Full Service.
Lather, rinse, repeat. It never feels like enough. It's not your products, it's your water.
Welcome to Doug in Exile.
Our faith holds the power. Don't give up on this land. So rise up and give us a hand. Exile ain't bad if you're here with me. Liberty loves company.
Don Lemon got arrested, as we predicted, and it all came true because of who? Who?
You have the right to worship freely and safely. And if I haven't been clear already, if you violate that sacred right, we are coming after you.
The people who are trying to fire Pam Bondi would have kept her from arresting Don Lemon. Welcome to Doug in Exile, as we are pathetically right about almost everything. And I'm back here in Tennessee. My studio is freezing. The heater's trying to catch up. But we just flew back from San Diego. I got all my running training in that I needed to do. Ran 18 miles, and we're back to work on the news with Don Lemon. Check this out. Okay, here we are with Pam Bondi. Attorney General Pam Bondi, it's official. She says, at my direction. Early this morning, federal agents arrested Don Lemon, Traherne, Gene Cruz, Georgia Fort, and Jamail Liddell Lundy in connection with the coordinated attacks on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. More details to come. We're going to get into this argument because Jim Acosta comes out trying to defend him, and this is about free speech. And no, I have free speech. I don't have free speech to come into your living room and take a poop on the carpet. Okay, that's what the left is going to try to say, is they have a right to go into a private church during a sacred ceremony, worship ceremony that America protects, the First Amendment protects. They don't want the First Amendment protection is what they're doing. Let's get to Jim Acosta here. He accosts logic every day. Jim Acosta says, attorney for my colleague and friend, Don Lemon, has released a statement saying Don was arrested by federal agents in LA last night. This is outrageous. outrageous and cannot stand. No, it needs to be duplicated actually and spread. Trump, for all the people that say he's anti-Christian because he's coarse or whatever, uses foul language, grab a woman by the hoo-hoo, says the F word a lot. And yet no other president has protected the church as much as Donald J. Trump. Scoundrel. The First Amendment is under attack in America. Now, that's weird that Jim Acosta would say that. Little does he know that he's right. The First Amendment is under attack in America, but it's by Don Lemon, not the people that arrested him. This is Don Lemon's legal guy. The statement from Abe Lowell, attorney for Don Lemon. Don Lemon was taken into custody by federal agents last night in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammy Awards. He's not even a real journalist, guys. Don has been a journalist for 30 years, kind of, and his constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he has always done. No, you do not have a constitutional right to disrupt the free speech of others. That is, when a church is conducting a sermon, people are taking communion, people are worshiping God. You don't get to go in and start screaming with your microphone and chant, hey, hey, ho, ho, Don Lemon is a moron. The First Amendment exists to protect journalists whose role is to shine light on the truth and hold those in power accountable. No, but it is not your place to go into a church. A church is protected just like my living room. It's a sacred house of worship. It's not a public place. Behind the doors is not a public place. You can stand out on the front steps and say anything you want, just like at an abortion clinic. You walk into abortion clinic and you're going to face the FACE Act. There's no more important time for people like Don to be doing this work. Don, I'll say Don Trump. There's no more important people like Don Trump to do this work. Instead of investigating the federal agents who killed 2 peaceful Minnesota protesters, okay, that's a lie. This is all propaganda. Again, and he shows Don Lemon with his microphone. Dude, he got fired from his journalism job, just like Jim Acosta. And now he's a podcaster, just like me. I got fired as an animator. And now I do the news, just like Don Lemon and Jim Acosta. This is my favorite. This is actress Molly Ringwald says, if you support Trump's fascist policies, you'll be found guilty of treason when leftists take over. Look, there's Molly Ringwald from Pretty in Pink and The Breakfast Club saying, don't worry, when the Democrats get back in office, they'll hunt all of us. If we support Trump's policies, they'll hunt us as fascists when the leftists take over. This is what the left really thinks about free speech, guys. They're coming for us with misinformation. We saw all the warnings. And look, here's what I wrote. I don't want Molly Ringwald. Because this guy said it's best for Hollywood to stay silent. No, I want them to keep speaking. I like free speech. I want her to keep revealing their true agenda. I want Molly Ringwald. I don't want her to be silent because she's the only Democrat who's being honest in public. I want to put their message on blast that they want to hunt us for treason if we speak, if we support Trump. That's what I want out in public. Now, here's my best argument against Don Lemon is his own journalism, alleged journalism. Former CNN host Don Lemon has been arrested in LA where he was covering the Grammy Awards. Watch this.
MAGA administration and the fake news MAGAs are losing their mind over something that's not even true. So let me just make it clear, because this assistant attorney general, I don't know, that's what's her name, something Hammett.
Something Hammett. He's talking about Harmeet Dillon. So this is a CNN journalist, Don Lemon, saying Assistant Attorney General, Pam Bondi's Assistant Attorney General, something Hammett, he said, something Hammett. It's Harmeet Dillon. Now, how do I, a barely literate comic book artist, know Harmeet Dillon's name? And I have texted with her. And Don Lemon can't even pronounce her name, doesn't know anything about her. This is what Jim Acosta calls good professional journalism. He knows nothing. You empty head, and now you go to jail. I could do more of this. This is more Somali fraud stuff on Ilhan Omar. I'll skip that. I'll just get right to Megyn Kelly's comment. Don Lemon, criminally charged, criminal, anti-free speech criminal, anti-religious bigot criminal, and gay black man, Don Lemon. We can report it at least one felony charge per a source familiar with the matter. 5 other defendants also charged. So Don Lemon, here's the police busting him. Don Lemon, lemon zest, lemonades, you're going to prison.
maybe next time, don't step all over God's church, God's family, the foundation of America, the foundation of American religion, of our free speech. You come into our house of worship, you need to go to jail. You know what? If I went into a Muslim mosque, you guys know I disagree with Islam, but if I walked into a Muslim mosque with 8 to 20 people and we started chanting during a service, I would expect to be arrested and go to jail for violating their free speech, their right to creed, their right to worship. And I was in the airport last night, and these Muslims, they bowed down and started praying, terrified me. They were there to terrify white people. I still said, this is the greatest country in the world that they get to worship in public at an airport. They also get to go to their mosque, because even with a country that disagrees with their religion, they're free to practice it. And Don Lemon, he does not think a church is a sacred place, and that's why he needs to rot in jail for as long as possible, for as long of a count as he would have imprisoned Donald Trump. I hope that's how long he ends up in a cell. I'm Doug in exile. Do you agree? Let me know in the chat below.
In stock and ready to ship free the next.
God dang it.
Was arrested. And the greatest part about it is he was arrested while hosting the Grammys. It was fantastic. So he is now looking at charges, what Hermeet Dillon is calling a hate crime. Essentially, you have the right to assemble. You have the right to not riot, but you have the right to protest. You have the right to do all of those things. What you do not have the right to do is to interrupt church services. What you don't have the right to do is to go onto private property and to throw temper tantrums and shut down gatherings and religious gatherings. That was something that's been in place since Jim Crow. So it's funny that a law that was actually supposed to be used to protect Black people in the South during Jim Crow from having their KKK attack their churches is now the same law being used against a Black man who's also gay, who claims to always be being persecuted and living in a country like the United States where he claims is systemically racist. So now the laws that were put in place to protect people like him from being racisted against, I know that's not a word, but racisted against, is now being used against him because he broke the law. No one is above the law. If you can be racist as a white person, you can be racist as a Black person as well. And for him to go into these churches and to put his bony finger in their face and say that they weren't doing their job and trying to explain to them what being a real Christian is about and telling them how he is a real Christian, I can't look at Don Lemon's life and say that there's anything in his life that makes me think Christian. Maybe you guys can, but not from what I read in the Bible. But anyway, I digress on that. But she has finally come through and she has arrested him, which is an interesting turn of events because I told you guys about Douglas Micko, the really, really corrupt magistrate there in Minneapolis who had already failed and denied a warrant for Don Lemon's arrest. And not only did he deny a warrant for Don Lemon's arrest, he also ordered the release of those people who had gone into the church with megaphones and shut the church service down. So they went around him. They found a go around, which I hate. I wish that that these judges and magistrates would actually just do their job, and forgive me for that, would actually do their job, but they're not. So, but I think it's great. I'm looking forward to see the charge. I'm also looking forward to seeing him in court. They're already claiming racism, of course, but you can't use racism to fight a law that was put in place to stop racism. This is great. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be real entertainment. But Pam Bondi, good job. I like it. I'm excited. I hope that she will follow through and see this criminal in jail. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know what you guys think this is going to accomplish. Do you feel that he is going to finally get justice? We'll see you next time.
Okay, the first cue one. See what else I can come up with. Okay, here's a 2-minute clip.
That crash last year severely injured 6-year-old Delilah Coleman, leaving her with critical and life-altering injuries. And her parents join us now, Marcus Coleman and Ileana Kraus. Thank you so much for being here.
But no, we never did receive anything back from the governor. We never received a call back. We never received a governor's going to look into this. We didn't receive anything.
Even a
I
courtesy.
actually sent them a letter. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. And I sent them a letter to several news agencies, and even outside news agencies didn't want to pick this up. To them, it was, oh, this is, a Southern California issue. Why are you reaching out to us here in Sacramento? And in the letters to them, I stated, I was like, this isn't a shooting in East LA or a hurricane on the coast. This isn't anything. This is a truck driver that drives all over the United States. And this can happen anywhere where there's a road, and I sat there and I kept sending these out, and I didn't get any response. And then all of a sudden the accident in Florida happened, and I got 3 news agencies that looked me back up and called me just to see if they were related, if the driver of my daughter's accident was the same driver as the accident that happened in Florida. And I was like, oh no, because the last names were the same. I was like, no, it's not the same guy. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they just dropped the story.
Well, we are proud to tell your story. It's really deeply affected me and Bill as we read about it and learned more about it. I admire your strength. I just want to read one thing to everybody here. This is from Christy Nome. She said that this is sadly another example of Gavin Newsom's California Department of Motor Vehicles issuing an illegal alien a commercial driver's license. How many more innocent people must become victims before Gavin Newsom stops playing games with American lives? Ileana, let me give you one more chance to just close us out here. In the time that we have, and you have everyone's attention, what do you want people to know about your sweet daughter?
She didn't deserve this. She was a very sweet girl, and she still is. And you could see that light of her still shining through, but we miss who she was.
And you need some help. She needs a lot of care. And I know that
She
you're doing
does.
a lot
She of has
it,
a
but
lot of
it's not
therapy,
easy to do it all on your own.
wheelchair.
Okay, that's an update on that. News there. I think we should play this one. 15 minutes. Oh, that's too long, you guys. 28 minutes. I'll do these ones. This. This is part 2.
Today, she picked the wrong target. In this case, the committee members had no doubt which it was. He fumbled with his folder, and it tumbled open, spilling papers across the table. "Oh my," he muttered, reaching for the scattered documents. Butterfingers today. Getting old, I suppose. Just like you said. But as the papers spread across the table, Pelosi noticed something that made her throat constrict. Each document that had accidentally fallen was positioned perfectly for the C-SPAN cameras to capture. Bank statements, trading records, and one particular document that made her blood run cold.
Hey, Campbell, still hopefully
A
at
record
5
from
o'clock.
2008 she thought had been buried forever. Kennedy took his time gathering the papers, letting the cameras drink in every detail. When he finally looked up, his eyes were sharp as surgical instruments. But where are my manners? He continued, holding up a single document. Let's start with something simple. 2008. Remember 2008, Mrs. Pelosi. Most Americans remember it as the year their savings disappeared. Their homes were foreclosed. Their retirements vanished. But you remember it differently, don't you? He adjusted his crooked glasses, pretending to squint at the paper. Says here you got an allocation of Visa IPO shares. Special allocation, not available to the public. Made yourself $100,000 in one day. He looked up, blinking innocently. That's more than most Americans make in 2 years. All while you were writing credit card legislation. Legislation that helped Visa and hurt their competitors. Ain't that peculiar? The color drained from Pelosi's face. Nobody had mentioned the Visa deal in 15 years. She'd thought those records were buried, the statute of limitations long past. But Kennedy wasn't talking about criminal prosecution. He was talking about something worse, public exposure. That's been thoroughly investigated, she stammered. Has it now? Kennedy asked mildly. By whom? Your colleagues who were doing the same thing. The ethics committee you controlled? No, ma'am. It's never been investigated by the only court that matters, the American people. But don't worry, we're just getting started. He carefully placed the Visa document aside and reached for another folder. This one was thicker, newer, with a label that simply read, Paul. Your husband is quite the investor, Kennedy mused. For 36 years, Nancy...
Okay.
to humiliate John Kennedy and witness her spectacular downfall. But before that, you think you've seen political destruction before? You haven't seen anything yet. What happens in the next hour will change how you view Washington corruption forever. This isn't just another political debate. This is the complete intellectual annihilation of a politician who thought her power made her untouchable. Smash that. Like button. Right now, you're about to witness the most devastating political takedown in congressional history. Subscribe and ring the bell, because when this is over, you'll want to watch it again and again. Warning, what you're about to hear contains political destruction so thorough, so intellectually overwhelming, that it will make you question everything you thought you knew about Washington power games. Viewer discretion advised for those who can't handle pure political domination. This is the story of how one Louisiana senator with an Oxford education and Texas wit brought down the most powerful Democrat in America. This is the story of Southern justice. Let's go. The Senate Banking Committee hearing room crackled with electric tension as C-SPAN cameras rolled live to millions of Americans hungry for accountability. What they were about to witness would become the most watched congressional hearing since Watergate. But unlike Watergate, this destruction would be delivered with a Louisiana drawl and surgical precision. Senator John Kennedy entered the chamber with the quiet confidence of a constitutional scholar. who had spent months preparing for this moment. His weathered leather briefcase contained enough evidence to end political careers, but his unassuming demeanor, simple gray suit, wire-rimmed glasses, and that unmistakable Southern bearing stood in stark contrast to the explosive nature of what he was about to unleash. Nancy Pelosi swept into the chamber like she owned it, which in many ways she felt she did. After decades of wielding power in Washington, she carried herself with the imperial bearing of someone accustomed to crushing opposition through sheer force of political will. Her expensive suit, perfectly coiffed hair, and entourage of high-priced attorneys sent a clear message: she was here to destroy this upstart senator from Louisiana. Ladies and gentlemen, Chairman Tim Scott announced as the room fell into anticipatory silence, "We're here for oversight hearings on ethics violations and financial misconduct in Congress. Today, the American people get the accountability. In the next 3 seconds, you're about..."
Okay, I got one more short clip. Then my last one is going to be today's. It just came out with a video on Tim Walsh. Fraud stuff.
Kennedy with East Coast elitism, mock his Southern accent, dismiss his intelligence, call him backwards. She had no idea he was a Rhodes Scholar, an Oxford-educated lawyer, someone who'd been building an evidence file on her corruption for years. What happened next? With a Louisiana drawl and a smile, Kennedy systematically exposed her insider trading, her January 6th cover-up, her Taiwan trip corruption, and $23 million in suspicious profits. This is what happens when you underestimate a country lawyer. The Senate Judiciary Committee hearing room in the Hart Senate office building felt different on Thursday mornings. Something about the light coming through the tall windows, the way sound carried in the space, the weight of history that lived in the walls. Today, the room was packed beyond capacity. Every seat in the gallery filled, people standing along the back wall. Media cameras lined up 3 deep. Reporters from networks that usually ignored committee hearings. This wasn't normal Thursday business. Everyone knew something was about to happen. At the elevated semicircular dais, 15 senators sat in their assigned seats. Chairman Dick Durbin in the center, Democrats to his right, Republicans to his left. All of them aware that the hearing they were about to conduct would make news. The subject was Senator John Kennedy's proposed legislation, the Congressional Ethics and Accountability Reform Act, real-time disclosure of stock trades, term limits for leadership positions, stricter insider trading penalties, common sense reforms that everyone claimed to support, but nobody actually wanted to pass. Kennedy had introduced the bill 6 months ago. It had gained surprising momentum. Public polling showed 87% support. Even Democrats were having trouble opposing it publicly. So they'd invited an expert witness to testify against it, Nancy Pelosi. She sat at the witness table with the confidence of someone who'd testified before Congress hundreds of times. Navy blue pantsuit, pearl necklace, American flag pin on her lapel, her silver hair styled perfectly, not a strand out of place. 5 people surrounded her at the table, 2 lawyers in expensive suits that screamed K Street. Her chief of staff hunched over a laptop, her communications director scrolling through talking points on a tablet. Nancy Pelosi thought...
Okay, that was 3 clips from Kennedy and Pelosi, and I'm going to finish off with this one video that came out just a little bit ago. And I'll be back at 5. This lady's good also on YouTube.
every day.
New customers deposit.
I want to talk about what's happening in
Well,
Minneapolis. Speaking of Ilhan Omar, but the greater, like, zoom out. Let's look at the 500-foot view of what's happening in Minneapolis. It's very clear that President Trump is taking what is happening there very seriously, especially with regard to the shooting of Alex Pretty by one of the Border Patrol officers. So he's pulling back the people who bungled the response. You've got Border Patrol Commander at Large Greg Bovino, who I'm less concerned with. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem has to go. She was already not qualified for the job, and so you have Kristi Noem, who's going out and giving these press conferences
Democrat,
and
guys?
saying things like you should never bring a gun to a peaceful
Republican.
protest. That is absolutely
Don't
wrong
stop
and very
me.
dangerous
Democrat.
language to be saying to the American people.
Anybody know?
Now, with your Second Amendment right comes a responsibility, but her response has been disastrous, and President Trump has seemed to understand that because he sent in Tom Homan to go clean up the mess and work with the city. So clearly he's like, all right, y'all are being pulled back. I'm sending in Tom Homan. I can trust that Tom will do the job. And then the agents who were involved in the shooting were put on leave. So you've got CBP Border Patrol agents placed on administrative leave after deadly confrontation with Alex Pretty. So President Trump, I think is doing what any reasonable president would do. He's assessing the situation. He's pulling back the people who seemed to make some major mistakes in a time where they shouldn't have. And he also is continuing to explain that he's happy to work with Tim Walz. Now, the thing with that is I'd like to know more of what that means, because
I want to stop that one because I think she's a Democrat. I'm going to play this one here. It's 10 minutes. What did I just do? So this will be about 10 minutes. Is she, you want me to go back and play that, Carol?
East today, Junior. Millions
Oh, there
of
you go.
explosive Epstein files dumped by DOJ in shock releases, and they're already ending careers. They're already ending careers of some of the most evil people on earth. Today,
This
the
came
U.S.
out,
Justice Department
Carol.
released 3 million pages, 180,000 images, 2,000 videos from Jeffrey Epstein. So maybe the file was sitting on her desk. I don't know, man. Here's Todd Blanche. He's the Deputy Attorney General. Just quickly
or by
summarizing
others
this.
around him. Today, we are producing more than 3 million pages.
It's a lot.
Including more than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images.
Okay.
In total, that means that the department produced approximately 3.5 million pages in compliance with the act. Just a quick note about the videos and images. The 2,000 videos and 180,000 images are not all videos and images taken by Mr. Epstein or someone around him. They include large quantities of commercial pornography.
So we've heard this before, that a lot of, there's a lot of adult content in here. Some of it is just saved adult content that doesn't have anything to do with Epstein or his island.
I'll go back and play
But some
it.
of it is already bringing down the careers of the most powerful and richest people on earth.
We'll
So
play
here
it
it is. It's
tonight.
actually happening. DOJ released 3 million Epstein files today. but only one woman's face
I know
will be
you were.
shown. That would be Ghislaine Maxwell. Everything else will be blacked out. Now, these are just starting to trickle out right now. I want to focus in on this guy. You probably know this guy. Guy who founded Microsoft, big time friend of Jeffrey Epstein. So close, in fact, that they had cute little inside jokes together. Like, here's one. I was wrong. Bill Gates signing a $1 bill. This was on Epstein's desk. Why would Bill Gates be giving Jeffrey Epstein $1 saying I was wrong and then signing it? Well, maybe this had to do with an STD test.
This is a big video now.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Jeffrey Epstein says Bill Gates caught a sexually transmitted disease from Russian girls.
Facebook.
Suggested secretly slipping Melinda antibiotics, new email shows. Oh, no. What is this? So here's the email. And this sort of ties in to Jeffrey Epstein and his blackmail operation. Remember when they told us that there was no blackmail operation? No, there's a blackmail operation where Jeffrey Epstein set up Bill Gates, who at this time was the richest man on earth, or inarguably one of the most powerful men walking the earth. And he set up Bill Gates with young Russian girls. And that's what he was doing. You can see in some of the Epstein documents that's released, he's like, was very interested in Russian girls, like getting all of their sizes, weights, like a, NFL roster, checking in. And he was like ordering them effectively. And,
yep,
and,
like I
and for
said,
whom?
I'll be on
Was
again
it for
tonight, 5
Bill
o'clock.
Bill and Melinda Gates
8,
Foundation.
probably.
This is from Jeffrey Epstein. I've decided to resign my position at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I've not come to this decision quickly. Great deal of thought during the past couple of weeks. Caught up on several marital disputes between Bill and Melinda. Great respect for my friend of 7 years, so on and so forth. In my role as his right hand, Bill Gates' right hand,
6 minutes.
I have been asked to and wrongly acquiesced into participating in things that have ranged from morally inappropriate to ethically unsound, and have repeatedly asked to do things to get near potentially over the line or illegal. Goodness. Though it was kindly suggested that I make the transition, 6 years of servitude, Bill wrote that he would give me 2 years of severance pay. I feel like it would be dishonest to myself and my future. From helping Bill to get drugs in order to deal with consequences of sex with Russian girls, to facilitating his illicit trysts with married women, to being asked to provide Adderall to bridge tournaments. I am no medical doctor. I have no prescription writing ability. So this is Jeffrey Epstein saying that he's resigned. He was very close with Bill and Melinda Gates. Is this why Melinda Gates in these interviews, when she has been asked a single time about Bill Gates and Epstein, sounded like not great.
Contact with Jeffrey Epstein, and that you were not, that was very upsetting to you. Did that play a role in the divorce at all in this process?
Yeah, as I said, it's not one thing, it was many things. But I did not like that he'd had meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you made that clear to him?
I made that clear to him. I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time.
Did you?
Yes, because I wanted to see who this man was. And I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. He was abhorrent. He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it after.
So he was evil personified, and your husband was like in love with him. And according to Jeffrey Epstein, according to his own emails, he was there getting facilitating a ton of Russian chicks. Now, this has been confirmed, by the way. Bill Gates' affair with young Russian chicks has been confirmed in multiple accounts and in multiple reports. And Jeffrey Epstein set up this relationship. Bill Gates could constantly be seen at Jeffrey Epstein's house, hanging out, chilling out. And Bill Gates could be seen with, younger women. They talk about this. He's in the files. And it was actually these Russians that Bill Gates would play bridge with. That was the one that was famous. That was all set up by Jeffrey Epstein. And then Jeffrey Epstein blackmailed Bill Gates over this. So you're blackmailing the single most, and by the way, this is at a private airport, right? That's the name of a private airport signature. This is Bill Gates flying on a plane with the young women. Okay. Well, how much more do you need, right? So he said that Bill Gates got an STD, and he recommended, because from these Russian women, and he recommended slipping Melinda special pills in order to deal with it. How did Bill Gates want to deal with Jeffrey Epstein?
I've said
well,
I
he said so
regretted having
right here.
those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Sure, it was just
Is there a
dinners.
lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so in general, you always have to be careful.
Look at that. I've never seen anything like this. Look at his evil grin. This is one of the most evil men on earth. So many smooth brain libs trusted this demon with their health during COVID. Look at this guy. He's dead. Dude, evil. You are evil. Tucker and Elon said the same
You think
thing.
there's some overlap?
Strong overlap. Strong overlap.
When are we going to see that list?
I don't know. It's mind blowing that behind Kamala Attar.
Of course, he was right. Damn it, he was right.
I got fast.
That's the only bombshell that we have thus far. Obviously, there's
I
millions
can't
and millions of
play
documents and photos and images to go through. So get ready. 3 million pages of records. In none of the communications, even when doing his best to disparage President Trump, did Epstein suggest President Trump had done anything criminal or have any inappropriate contact with any of his victims. But that's not true of Bill Gates. Ladies and gentlemen, we're cooking today. Stay tuned for more. But Democrats swung at Trump with the Epstein files, and it looks like they're going to take out their biggest donors, and it looks like they're going to take out their own presidents over it. Look at that. Get ready. There's a reason why Clinton looks like death warmed over, man. He knows what's coming. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe.
Okay, that's going to be our first video of many more this afternoon till tonight. So we'll see what kind of videos we'll get this afternoon for tonight and everything. So that's going to end it for now until 5. So everyone have a good weekend if I don't see you during your shows this weekend. God bless everybody. Love all. Remember, please sub to the backup channel, please. And thanks, Carol. I guess all the Lucia, they were all at work. So Kay must have been busy today. Hopefully she'll be back tonight. All right. So stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith, and never give up. Signing off, Chico Dude. Another David half a day so far. Till the next show at 5 o'clock. Signing off, Chico Dude.